All right, so that's all there is to know about first Nun verbs. However, we have this new class of verbs we haven't met before called first Yod. And these are also going to take some getting used to. In fact, first Yod verbs, historically speaking, fall into two categories. Those that were originally first position wow, and those that were originally first position Yod. For some reason, historically, that we won't bother with here, verbs that originally had a wow in the first position, at some point in the history of the language, that wow became a Yod. Okay? It's a mystery. Just have to take it for granted. We know it was a wow originally because the wow shows up in later forms, and we'll encounter those as we move along in the term. So you'll have to take my word for it that this is a wow at the moment. What you can see is that these two groups behave differently, even in the call imperfect. Now, think about W and Y for a moment. Even in English, W and Y have what specific unusual characteristic in English?
Vowels.
Yeah, they can behave both as vowels and as consonants. We've seen this already in Hebrew because wow and yod are used as mater letters, right? They're behaving sort of in a quasi-vocalic kind of way. And in fact, in these verb forms that we call first wow and first yod, that vocalic behavior, if you will, goes another step. What happens in these forms is that the first yod, in effect, vocalizes. It stops being a consonant and becomes a vowel. And that obviously affects the pointing. So the first wow form will begin with yashav. I think this is a new vocabulary word in this lesson. It means to sit or to dwell. Yashav, we would expect to form something like this if we were going to write it out. We would expect yishov. Okay? You might think that it was, life would be simple if that's what we got. But it is, in fact, not what we get. What we get is the form yeshev. Now, two things have happened here. First, we've already encountered in Natan this E theme vowel. Okay? And we have this here in yeshev. These first vowel verbs, many of them prefer this E theme vowel. The other thing that's happened here, and this is really the more troubling thing, is that this yod has just disappeared. It has lengthened from a hirik, the preceding vowel has lengthened from a hirik to a tsere. And the letter, the yod letter, has simply gone away. What has not happened here that you might have expected to happen if the yod disappeared? If you're thinking Hebrew-wise, when a letter drops out, yeah, you might expect a dagesh in the next root letter, or something like that. You don't get it here because this yod is not behaving as a consonant now. It's behaving as a vowel. And it's just simply gone away, leaving no sign of itself. It's been taken off by space aliens or something. Pardon? Oh, sorry, I thought I had a comment. So the call imperfect of yashav is yeshev. First yod verbs, that is, verbs that were originally first position yod, are much easier. We have yarash here as our example. We would expect the form yirash as our imperfect, the pathak arising by the influence of the resh, which sometimes acts like gutturals. In fact, we get the form yirash. Well, what's happened here? All that's happened is the schwa has gone away. Now, based on what I've already told you, why would the schwa go away? Anyone like to venture a guess? Told you before I didn't like it when people guess, but I gave you permission to guess.
Guttural.
Well, no. Well, guttural is a good guess. It's not right, though. Well, no, but you're on the right track. What did I say? What did I say that these letters did just a moment ago?
It's a vowel.
Yeah, they've become vowels. Okay, so you got a vowel here. You don't put a schwa under a vowel, right? So the yod the schwa has just gone away. You don't need it anymore because the yod is not functioning as a consonant. It's functioning, in effect, for all practical purposes, as if it were a mater letter. as if it were a vowel. Now you could argue historically how this actually arises, but in effect, for all practical purposes, what's happened is that this first position Yod has now simply become a mater letter. And so that's why the schwa that you would expect to see underneath the first Yod has gone away. Yes, was there a question?
That's the only word that happens with?
No. It happens with all first Yod verbs that were originally first Yod, as opposed to first Yod verbs that were originally first Wow. Now, what's the next question you're going to ask? Are there a lot of them? That wasn't the one I was thinking of, but it's a good question. There are a reasonably large number of first Wow verbs, that is, verbs that behave like Yashav. There are a much smaller number of verbs that were originally first Yod that behave like Yarash. Now that's a shame, because the first Yod ones are a lot easier than the first Wow ones are. But in fact, the first Yod ones, really, the ones that were originally first Yod, like Yarash, they don't really give you any trouble at all, because all three root letters appear to be there. It's just the pointing's a bit funny. So you don't really have too much to trouble with these. No, the question that I thought you were going to ask was, how do you know which one's going to be which? You know, how do you know from looking at Yashav it's going to be one thing, and at Yarash it's going to be the other? The answer is, you know by looking at the